Look at him run. No good, he missed it. Are you kidding me? Touchdown. He did what? There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. That's got a chance. That is good. It's good. Holy Toledo. Throws to the back of the end zone, and it is caught. Kick is on the way, and it is good. It's good. It's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fifth and Long podcast. Patrick, Paul, EJ, we're all here. Guys, this is the start of our 2025 preseason predictions campaign. We're going to go division by division, starting with the East on the AFC side. We're going to have the NFC East in a separate episode, and I guess we'll do this in, however many segments. Guys, hi. Welcome back from summer vacation.
Patrick, how are you doing? I can't believe that this is the third season of Fifth and Long, but here we are. Dreams do come true.
I'm very excited. Been looking forward to this for a bit. Definitely did some cramming here at the end. I've been paying attention, but put it all down on paper now. So, yeah, just ready to rock and roll. EJ?
Year 2 for me. But I'm excited to be in it. Last year I was not a part of these predictions, so I'm excited to be a part of these predictions and see how I fare at the end of the season. I'm not sure if you guys have the updates from last season of how you guys did. I'd be interested to hear about that, but I'm excited to see how I do this year in my first full year with Fifth and Long.
We did write it down somewhere. I don't remember exactly what it was.
I got everything right, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, we all got every single game right. Every single one. Every single one. That's all that matters. Okay, so how I have this structured essentially is we'll talk a little bit about what happened with each team last season. We'll talk a little bit about what's changed for that team, personnel-wise, player-wise. Have they improved? Have they maybe regressed since last year? What do we expect them to do? What's their ceiling? What's their floor? What are their keys to success? And ultimately, what do we think they're going to finish as this year? What's their record going to be? Are they going to win the Super Bowl? Are they going to have the number one overall pick? We've got 32 teams to cover, but number one to cover is last year's AFC runner-up and AFC East champ, the Buffalo Bills. Their over-under this year is 11.5. EJ, Paul, 13-4 last year, lost in the AFC Championship. As we know, Josh Allen was the MVP of the league, though. Overall, pretty good season, especially considering it was after moving off of Stephon Diggs. Some people question that. It turned out to be addition by subtraction. Josh Allen ended up having the best season of his career, but they still finished short, didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. Had home field advantage in the playoffs. It was their best shot, a lot of people considered. How do you guys feel about Buffalo last year? And I mean, we don't have to go long form on it, but since then, have they improved enough on paper for you?
I don't know if they've improved enough on paper for me to make me think that they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, when you lose to the same team over and over again like they do, it's tough for me to come to the prediction that they're going to be able to get over that hump. And I don't think that they made any groundbreaking moves to make me think that they could go to the next level, but I think that they're slightly better in general. Joey Bosa could be an upgrade over Von Miller, very much so, at the edge rusher position. But ultimately for me, I mean, I was really hoping that this team would have grabbed a second, legit receiver, or actually, I mean, really technically a true number one wide receiver, because no disrespect to fifth and long's favorite son, Khalil Shakir, but I don't know if this team can continue to get by offensive weapons. I don't know if that they can beat a Kansas City Chiefs team that's going to be rolling back with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy if they are still kind of saddled with the weapons they have, and if neither of their young guys, a la Dalton Kincaid or Keon Coleman, take a leap. So Josh Allen can only do so much here, and that's kind of the point I'm getting at. Is it a slightly better roster? I think so. Is it significantly better? I can't say so for sure.
Yeah, it kind of feels like. Go ahead, EJ. My bad.
No, I was going to say Paul kind of nailed that on the button. I don't see this as a significantly better team, but I think they added pieces. He talked about Joey Bosa. I think Joey Bosa is going to be an upgrade, honestly. I was kind of surprised that they even got him in the first place, but I think that will be a bigger addition than what Von Miller brought, especially later in his career. But you look at the rest of this roster, and it's pretty much the same. You expected to see a wide receiver that can kind of take over that Amari Cooper role, even though that wasn't a big role. He kind of drew at least 1 to 2 safeties, cornerbacks toward his direction, and they really didn't add anyone. They're really relying on Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman to take that next step. I know they added Joshua Palmer, but at the end of the day, Joshua Palmer, he's an injury-prone receiver that can show flashes. So I would say they're a deeper team, but did they take the next level to beat those top-tier teams to get to that Super Bowl? You're just going to have to find out. I think they can beat them with the group they have, but we haven't seen it yet. So, why should we believe that now?
Last year, Buffalo ranked second in points per game on offense, third in EPA per play, first in sack percentage, largely because Josh Allen is a really hard guy to bring down in the backfield. Fourth in rush success percentage, also slightly because of that. Quarterback rushes do count. Rush success rate is as simple as it sounds. When you make a rush attempt, is it for positive or negative gain? Defensively, they were kind of hit or miss. 11th in points per game, 12th in EPA per play, 23rd on EPA per pass, 4th on EPA per rush attempt. So they have a pretty decent run defense. They were first in run stuff percentage as well, which measures how often you stuff a team at the line per attempt. They did not have a great pass rush. They were 20th in sack percentage. So, EJ, you mentioned Von Miller, Joey Bosa. It definitely seems like that's going to be an effort of theirs to try and improve that side of the ball. They went out, they brought in Michael Hogt last year in free agency, Larry Ogunjobi. Both of those guys, though, are suspended for the first 6 games of the season for steroids or PEDs, excuse me, however you want to phrase it, whatever. So can they last those first 6 weeks without those guys? Probably. Their schedule isn't really that tough early on. And even though the AFC East, the other teams in the division, improved in the offseason, it's like I don't think anybody has improved enough to overtake these guys. In your minds, yes or no, the Buffalo Bills are the favorites and should win the AFC East?
Oh, slam dunk, yeah.
EJ?
Agreed. I don't think it's as close as the slam dunk Paul mentioned, but I think the Bills should have a steady grasp on that AFC East.
That's the ruling. We got it. Okay.
I'm interested to see who EJ thinks could compete with them. I've got this team probably winning this division by at least 3 games. So that's why I use the term slam dunk. I think that let me put it this way. I think that they will be able to rest their starters for 2 weeks at the end of the regular season if they wanted to. That is my prediction. But I'm interested to see who you guys, Pat, I know that you'll be touting your Patriots. I'm interested to see who EJ thinks could give them a run for their money. I just don't see it in any of the other 3 teams.
So you took them, they went 13-4 last year. Do you have them winning more or less games than that?
I think that's probably pretty accurate. I think 13. I think they're going to grab 13 wins, maybe 12 or 13. Yeah, I'm spot on with that.
So for me, kind of dissecting how they were able to do that last year, I don't know if James Cook is going to be as efficient this year as he was last year. He had an incredible season getting into the end zone, set a team record for rushing touchdowns, even more than Allen had in the regular season. They still don't really have a go-to guy in the receiving game. So maybe like if Cook regresses, but Keon Coleman takes a leap, that might kind of cancel each other out. And we all know how good Allen is running inside the 10, 15, 20, just in general. I mean, he's incredible. So like none of us are doubting their ability to score on offense. Their weaknesses, maybe it's still defense, maybe it's just being able to get that final win in the end. I mean, how do they get over the hump, beating Kansas City, beating Baltimore again this year? Those are the biggest teams that they're competing against, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they got the win over Baltimore last year, so I don't think that they're worried about the Ravens right now. It's just the boogeyman, Kansas City, and it's just finding a way to stop Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Or I guess finding a way to dissect the Spagnuolo defense, however you want to look at it. They've lost both ways in the past before.
right. And he had a chance to put Mahomes away last year. Again, all he had to do was go down the field and score, and it went the other way. I don't really think it's Allen's fault, by the way. Like, I mean, we kind of talk about weapons. I think that is a real big point for me is who's going to be that guy this year. And it might be Khalil Shakir, it might be Keon Coleman, maybe finally Dawson Knox does what people have been predicting him to do for a couple of years. But I don't know, man. Do you guys have an X factor either on the offense or defensive side of the ball that you think will be the biggest key for these guys outside of Allen?
I wouldn't say it's one player. I think it's Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman. And I just say that you need more production out of those two. I know they did well, Khalil Shakir for his second or third season. I'm not sure which one exactly it was, but Keon Coleman, his rookie season, they did well, but you got to see that leap up to the next level. They obviously didn't invest in anyone further, so they're trusting these guys to take that leap. And you really got to see it this year, or else you're gonna see the same old, where it's more dump offs, more short route games. Like you got to see these guys take the next level. I think for the Bills offense to really explode.
Yeah, I think they have to find a way to get those guys to take a leap or bring someone in who is a star player, bona fide, that will mesh well with Allen. Um, I'm almost curious to see, if they fall short again this year, maybe they make a move to try and bring in a more offensive minded head coach and kind of dictate things that way. I know they play in the cold and that's kind of been their identity to do this like tough guy football, even with Allen there. That's not a bad thing. It's worked for them. They've won a lot of games. I forget what the exact number is, but over a 4-year stretch, like they're one of the best teams ever to not win the Super Bowl or something like that. I think they're going to be really good again this year, but I also see them maybe stumbling at times just because of that lack of overall talent. And I think you're relying on Allen to play the best football of his life again. Maybe he misses a couple of games. I do think the AFC East is going to be a little bit tougher this year, but ultimately, I think for them, I have them going under, still winning the division, probably losing in the divisional round overall. That's what I'm going to go with for right now for the Buffalo Bills.
I think that
Yeah.
that's a fair point. I mean, I don't know. I got to take a look at the holistic perspective of the NFL, and who knows how it's going to shape up. I think that they'll get to at least the divisional round, and I think that their ceiling, is AFC Championship again. I think it'd be nice to say that their ceiling's the Super Bowl, but I don't know how you can say that when they haven't made it with the core group of guys that they got, and they've
Totally
got
agree.
They got Kansas City standing in the way. So at some point, I mean, if they get to the Super Bowl, great for them. Like, would I be shocked? No. Would I be surprised? Yeah. Like that's where I am right now with this. I've been on the record here to say that I don't think Josh Allen will ever play in a Super Bowl. And I stand by it. And it's not because he's not good enough. It's just because of who he's got standing in his way.
I think he'll get there someday. I think, especially with the Matthew Stafford career arc, like I don't know if I can ever rule a guy out at this point. Allen could play another 10 years. He's going to have a lot of chances. We don't know what's going to happen with Mahomes and and the Chiefs. Andy Reid can't coach forever, but I do think it could be a while.
Yeah, but you say that, and not like I don't disagree with you, but even if Mahomes gets hurt for the year, you still have Lamar,
Yeah,
you have Joe Burrow, like you have quarterbacks in your way that you have to defeat,
and that's
and
not even mentioning the NFC.
yeah, no, I'm to even to get to the
Well, an
Super Bowl,
NFC
like, you
quarterback
have,
wouldn't prevent him from getting into a Super Bowl. So
yeah,
just clarify.
Well, winning one.
Paul, that's a good point there.
Thank you.
But
No, I
I
mean,
agree with your ceiling.
there's
AFC
quarterbacks in
title.
his way. And it's not just Patrick Mahomes, who he has shown he can only beat in the regular season.
Yeah. Damn, man. This is going to be a fun year. I think it's going to be really competitive in the AFC.
I like this NFL slate this year. This is, I mean, maybe it's just because the Giants I'm a little excited for. That could just be like before the season starts giggles, but I don't know. We'll see.
What's your prediction though for the Bills, EJ? I haven't heard you give an official number.
I have them winning 11 games, and that's because I have them losing 2 at the beginning of the year. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as everyone expects them to be at the beginning of the year, but they'll come into form. I've been going 11-6, winning the division. So I do have them winning the division. I'm not sure if they'll get a first round bye, but I have them winning that division.
Yeah, I have them losing to the Ravens early. I have them losing to the Chiefs midseason. The Texans have given them trouble. I think they're going to get in a shootout with the Bengals. Then they face the Eagles at the end of the year. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, okay. So Paul, you've got about 13 wins. EJ, you have 11. I have 10. I will write that down.
Yeah, I'll make 13-4 my official prediction.
Okay.
I think 12-5 certainly realistic. Could end up being one of those things where they're 12-4 the final week of the year, and then they have it all locked up. But
13,
I'll go 13-4.
13-4 and lost in what round? You said?
I've got kind of a dark horse prediction for my AFC Championship, so I'll say that the Bills lose in the divisional round, just as you predicted as well, Pat.
Okay. And
So they're certainly capable of advancing to the next round.
EJ, what about you?
I have them losing in the conference.
Okay. All right. So EJ's got the high end of the spectrum at the tail end of the season. Paul, you have the highest prediction in wins there. Okay. Awesome. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins. Last year, Miami had kind of a tumultuous season. I mean, once again, Tua Tagovailoa can't stay healthy. I don't know if he ever will at this point. That is a huge question mark for them. They went 8-9, even having, basically half a season of Tua. They missed the playoffs. They had kind of a sneakily decent year defensively. Their run defense was not very good, but even without Bradley Chubb and without Jalen Phillips, pretty much for the whole season, they kind of fared okay on the defensive side of the ball. They're not going to have Jalen Ramsey anymore after they traded him for Minka Fitzpatrick, who they brought back to Miami. And as a result, their cornerback depth is kind of limited. They also brought in Mike Hilton to maybe play a little bit of a slot role. Cam Smith, I think, is going to be their main outside guy. The big question here, though, obviously, is can Tua stay healthy? And I don't think I can really bank on that being the case with Miami. And is there a bigger wild card for any team, any single team in the NFL, any single player, any team?
I would say generally, no, in terms of I think that this is, if you're asking it, the way I perceive that question is this the biggest drop off from quarterback to backup, with an injury? Generally,
I don't mean that. I just mean in terms of being able to rely on the guy staying healthy.
Just as much of an injury prone guy, I guess. I mean, you could look at some of the older guys in the league.
Yeah.
Just coming into this year, Stafford's had back problems. I know that he was able to keep it together last year a lot. Who knows what the Steelers are going to have to deal with Aaron Rodgers, somebody who missed a whole season just 2 years ago. So I think that there's a lot of wild cards in that respect. That's more age driven than it is just, I guess, frequency of injury with Tua. I thought you were talking about the question in terms of just like the drop off from starter to backup. And I think throughout the years that Miami has had the biggest drop off really of anybody. I think that they've really failed at the backup quarterback position over the last couple of years. And I think that that's a crime knowing how frequent their quarterback has gotten hurt and his concussion history. I think that things are a little bit better. Bringing in Zach Wilson this year, I'm not saying Zach Wilson is any hot shakes, but I think that he's an upgrade over Skylar Thompson that might be able to keep him competitive for a couple games if Tua is out. But I wouldn't necessarily even call Zach Wilson like a high-end elite backup himself either. So maybe it's a little bit less of a gap than in years past from starter to backup, but I still think that this is a team that should have been pursuing a really high-end backup over the last couple of years, like your Jameis, your Gardner Minshew, somebody of that ilk who's been able to consistently win games when they've been called upon.
Paul, neither you nor I enjoy touting preseason play when guys are tearing up third stringers on highlight reels, but when guys are performing as badly against those third stringers as Quinn Ewers has been right now. Have you guys seen some of his throws?
I thought he was 5 of 18. I thought it's the stat line that I saw. I could be off by a couple numbers there. Yeah, it was not pretty. It is only week 1 in the preseason, but I mean, you're right.
Just ugly.
Preseason's one of those things where, like, I think you could still take a little bit of stock if the result is bad. You definitely like if it's good, all right, fine. There's a caveat there. If it's bad, it's like, all right, you're playing against guys that are gonna be, doing something else for a living in a matter of a month or so, and you're still 5 of 18.
Some of the other moves Miami made in the offseason, they traded away Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh as a part of that Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jalen Ramsey trade. Sneakily, a really big trade for both teams. They lost Raheem Mostert, who was once a big player for him. They lost Javon Holland. They lost Teron Armstead, who retired. Kendall Fuller. There's a lot of turnover here. They did bring in some other players, mostly depth guys. Alexander Madison, Wilson, we mentioned. Nick Westbrook Akine, who I actually think could sneakily be a pretty good player for them. He was very explosive in Tennessee the last couple of seasons with bad quarterbacks mostly. When he's in this offense, if Tua is healthy, he could be a very good, like, third option for them, making some big plays downfield. Big keys for them this year: Tua's health, D-line panning out. I really like Kenneth Grant, their first round pick out of Michigan. I think he could be an impact player for them early. Cornerback depth and secondary play, and their run game returning to form. Last year, offensively, they were 25th in rush success rate. Devon Achane has got to be the guy that people are expecting him to be, especially since they got rid of Jonnu Smith. It's like someone's going to have to fill the load for fill the hole of some of the catches that are going to be lost from there.
Yeah, I'm not too high on the Dolphins. I think they didn't do enough on their offensive line to really protect Tua in the first place. So, I mean, if you're going by health, I see Zach Wilson playing a few games this year, starting a few games this year, and then we'll see what Zach Wilson is really made of after taking a year just kind of being the backup. Overall, I mean, their defense isn't too great. I know they got Minka, but they also got rid of Jalen Ramsey, so that's kind of a cross multiplication divide type of action there. I don't really think it did much. Did damage. I see the Dolphins taking a step back this year, and it's just because you see Tyreek getting a year older. He's starting to use his mouth a little more, kind of like Antonio Brown did before he left the Steelers. He just doesn't look like the same type of player that's going to just shut up and play. And as much I hate to say that, I mean, at the end of the day, if they're going to be talking their mouths, they usually don't do as much production on the field, and we've seen that year in year out with certain players. So Waddle's not too healthy right now. I just don't see this offense taking off the years it has in the past. I mean, I think Tua gets hurt and they'll be in dead spin. But even if Tua's healthy, I don't see this offense being as good as it has in the past.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I think that you guys have alluded to it. There's a lot of turnover in the offensive line. I read somewhere that they are losing 42 starts from last year, and a lot of that is headlined by the Teron Armstead moving on. So, I mean, that's Tua's protection right there, and if he doesn't have that, he's definitely going to be hurt. So, really not good. I think that they lost the Ramsey Jonnu Smith trade as well. I was trying to hold off on bringing that up to try to stay as nonpartisan as possible, given that they traded with the Steelers, but I just don't see this roster as better either, EJ. And you make a good point. I mean, they do kind of just seem to be all talk. McDaniel's acting like they're trying to be tougher, more physical team, but I don't buy it with him. And I think that he is definitely a candidate. We've talked about it in the past. He's a candidate to potentially lose his job during or at the conclusion of this season. And I see the step back coming for sure.
I think we talked about that a little bit in our last fantasy football episode, and it's been kind of an overhanging thing. But at the same time, if Tua is healthy, then it's totally different what he may look like. You know, maybe it does work out a little bit better. It's such a wild card, both him and Shane and Waddle kind of as a result. Like the whole team is, and that's just like sows uncertainty. Like I don't know what to do. Like their ceiling actually is kind of decent to me. I think they do have potential to be a top like 12, top 10-ish team, maybe, if everything works out, right? Like that's okay to say if everything works out. It's part of the exercise. Their ceiling to me is like 12-5 with the division round exit. Their floor is 6-11 or worse. And I think unless Tua misses like 4 more games, they have to have a playoff appearance for McDaniel to keep his job. And I think even if Tua misses time, they're at risk, or he's at risk.
I don't think McDaniel will have a job. I want to say by Thanksgiving, but I'll say like by the first or second week of December. So that's my hot take. I don't think McDaniel will have a job by the end of the year. I also see the Dolphins going 5-12. I don't see them having a good year this season. I think Tyreek's out. I don't think he'll get traded just because of what he brings to the table, but I do not see Tyreek Hill really participating in this offense, and I don't see Waddle being healthy this year as well. I just don't see much. Maybe if Achane can have a great year, but I also don't see that. I don't see this team relying on the run. I don't see McDaniel wanting to say, let's rely on the run game to get us wins. And that's going to be the part that hurts them the most. I have this team finishing dead last in the AFC East at 5-12.
Wow, and I was over here thinking I had the lowest prediction. I was going to come in here with 7-10, thinking that was going to be the lowest prediction for the Dolphins. But I love it, EJ. I think that I guess 5 or 6 wins would be my floor if Tua got hurt, and 11 would be the top end of what they could do. And I have a wild card exit, Pat, but I'm settling dead in the middle at 7-10. But I was sure that I would at least be tied for the lowest record. Credit to you going 5-12 there. I will say this: if they are 5-12, yes, I could definitely see McDaniel not making it to the end of the season. Also, if they're 5-12, could 100% see Tyreek getting and if they're on that trajectory, I could definitely see Tyreek getting traded at the deadline. I don't think at this point, I'm not 100% sure he's going to get moved before the beginning of the season. I don't think that would happen. But if this team is off to a horrendous start and they're on pace to be a 5-12 team early, I could definitely see Tyreek Hill get moved at the deadline because I think he's going to call it quits if they're that bad, and he's going to want to move to a contender.
I have not made my official prediction for this team yet, but I just suggested the Dolphins losing in the divisional round, and EJ went,
playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Unbelievable, man. 5-12 from EJ and Paul. What did you say? 6-7?
No, I Well, no, you play more than 13 games in the NFL season. I got
Yes.
set.
Sorry.
I understand because I said like floor was 6 wins. I got 7-10. 7-10 is my official record prediction.
Damn. Okay. Wow. You guys like really came in with a hammer. I respect it. 7-10. EJ, it's 5-12, right?
That's what I got.
Jesus. Okay. So for me, like I said, I have a high ceiling, low floor, a lot of variance with this team. I have the highest prediction out of you guys, but I also have them finishing under their projected win total, which is 8.5. I had the Dolphins at 8-9, missing the playoffs. And did that put them last? No, I had them third in the division. I had them third. So 8-9, finishing third in the division. Damn. So you've got Miami with like a top 5 pick, EJ.
Hey, man. So far, I've got Cleveland right. I'm trying to go with the Dolphins.
Does that mean they draft QB? They have to, right? If Tua misses another like 10 games
He's
or
still
something.
getting paid a ton of money for the next couple of years.
Yeah, so draft a guy on a rookie deal.
Those are some early predictions there, but yes, I do think Miami will go QB. I don't believe it in Tua, and I think once, like, they literally got McDaniel because he said he believed in Tua. Like, there weren't a lot of head coaches that believed in Tua in the first place. So once they get a new guy, it's going to be someone that's replacing Tua, and then it's just a matter of time of when Tua's replaced.
I think if they draft a guy, I think that they're looking to shop Tua, to be honest with you.
That too, yeah.
Who does that though if he misses that much time again? That's such a risky move. Like Miami, they'd have to work something out where Miami kept a certain amount of the money or something, right?
I'm not even saying Tua will miss time. Like maybe he'll miss 1 or 2 games, but I just don't think this offense is going to be that great.
You don't.
Tyreek, like you're looking at like this offense from 3 years ago, and Tyreek Hill was at his peak. Like I don't think Tyreek Hill is nearly the player he was. You're going with an injured Waddle to start the year, who's basically been hurt the last 2 years at this point. If he plays injured this year, and they don't have a number 3 receiver. Like I know you talked about Westbrook, like he might be a godsend, but I just don't see that.
I'm with you. I think the bigger point that you've been making, we were talking more Tyreek focus. I think you're right. Like Jalen Waddle's like we talked about X factors. I think Jalen Waddle's got to be the guy that makes this offense really reach the next level, because when it was at its best 2-3 years ago was when he was honestly his first couple years in the league. I had him like fringe top 10 receiver. Like we were talking about 2 wide receiver ones in Miami, and just hasn't been the case the last couple of years. Like that's my only method, I think, for this team to get to where they need to be. It's that they have 2,000+ yard receivers that are dominant. And you know what that'll do is that'll just prevent you from being able to single cover Tyreek. And now you bring A-Chain out of the backfield to open everything up. But they really haven't had that multifaceted weapon on both sides of Tua, throwing wise. So that's where they are.
Like at this point, like you see Tyreek as I don't even see Tyreek as wide receiver 1 at this point. Like he's a scary wide receiver 1, and Waddle can't stay on the field. So at this point, you're just you're playing with aces here.
I still got Tyreek as a wide receiver 1. I know last year's a down year, but this guy was threatening 2,000 yards just 2 years ago. He's not that far removed from that.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp was 2 years ago too, and now people are saying he's dead and gone.
I think that was 3, but semantics, I suppose.
I'm going to zag from you guys here and say that I think the key is actually the running game. I think they need to take as much pressure off Tua as possible. When they were at their peak in 2023, before Tua got hurt, they had the 7th highest rush success rate in the NFL. Last year, they ranked 25th. That's a huge drop off. They need that production from Ashane. They need that red zone efficiency that they had from Mostert. They need to try to find a way to somewhat replicate that. I don't know if that's doable, especially with some of the O-line changes that they've had. I believe, they're trying to address that in some ways. McDaniel's scheme also offensively, like the way the passing game works, there are a lot of passes that almost operate as runs in a way. So
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, that's a huge drop off in rush success rate, but I'm sure that there's a lot of screen dump offs that are designed that way that they essentially call as run plays that will not show up on the stat sheet, obviously, as a run, but are effectively serve the purpose of a run. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You may be kind of onto something there. I'll try to see if I can find some of that. I don't know if I'll be able to. Some stats that kind of talk about that. But anyways, yeah, I picked 8 and 9. EJ, you've got 5 and 12. Paul, you've got 7 and 10. Any final last notes on the Miami Dolphins? Anybody? No? Okay, cool. I made this mistake last year. I put the Jets ahead of the Patriots alphabetically, which is not correct because New York is definitely alphabetically behind New England. So I'm not going to talk about the Jets first, even though they're the next page on this like cheat sheet I have. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the New England Patriots are now on the board. Sorry, I had to.
If you were gonna let that play, though, I was gonna butt in and say that's a little bit too extreme, but I'll take just the buzzer.
No, that's the Bruins. That's the Bruins. The Pats don't do that. The Pats, when they score, it's like I don't remember what.
Oh, they don't break into that second part.
No,
that
no.
can't. Oh, okay.
No. Crazy Train is kind of more their thing. When Brady was there, their big run out was
R.I.P. Ozzy.
Yeah, seriously, rest in peace. When Brady was there, they used allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove. Oh, don't clip that. Maybe we should clip that actually.
You're the one who does the editing, so I mean, by all means.
That's fair. We'll get the intern on it. Me. Okay, New England Patriots. Last year, we all know the Pats went 4-13. As a result, they moved on from their entire coaching staff. See you later, Gerard Mayo. Enter Mike Vrabel, former New England Patriot linebacker. They went from one former Pats linebacker to another. They also brought back Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. They hired former Lions defensive line coach Terrell Williams as D coordinator, who worked with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. There is kind of a health concern with him that's been ongoing. I don't necessarily know how much he's going to be able to do in season. I hope he's able to stay healthy. That is the most important thing. So wishing Coach Williams nothing but the best. The New England Patriots win total this year is 8.5. That's a pretty big jump from 4-13. I will say we kind of talked about this again a week or so ago, or a couple of weeks ago, that the Pats have had a pretty big facelift this year. They are a very different looking team, not just in terms of the coaching staff, but also on the roster. They brought in a lot of veteran guys in an attempt to try and change the culture. And the rookies that they brought in kind of have a fire underneath their asses too. So there's a lot of talk about the Pats going on in media coverage circles. I think partially, because of the commercial appeal of it, but I don't think it's nothing. I don't think it's all smoke either. I think there is a little something to it. Do you guys disagree? Do you need to slap me in the face and temper my expectations a little bit, or like be my therapist right now? Talk to me. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I don't know what to do. We haven't been good in a while. I'm trying to keep my shit together.
I mean, I think you should temper expectations while also expecting them to be significantly better than last year. Or I don't know, maybe significantly better is the right way to look at it. But you
significantly
can expect...
better from last year is like just average. They were so bad at everything last year that significantly better could be like 7-10 with a couple tough losses.
So that's the way I kind of look at it. Like, I feel like way too many people are throwing out there, dark horse to really watch out for in the AFC this year are the Patriots. I'm not buying that smoke. I am buying that they are going to be improved. I think May will grow. I think that the head coach is going to make a difference, at least maybe in a game or two with Vrabel. But ultimately, the reason I don't think they're going to reach the next level is I don't think that the offensive supporting cast is anywhere near good enough for just a second-year quarterback in Drake May. I'm not buying that Stephon Diggs comes in and makes an impact coming off an ACL, and really just being on the north side of 30, and I think just his best years in general being behind him. And then who else you got there? Mac Hollins. I mean, Demario Douglas has led the team in passing or in receiving yards the last 2 years, and he hasn't even touched 700 yards, just to show you how putrid this passing offense has been. So I think that May will get better, and I think that some of those numbers for the receivers will uptick just because of that. I think the offensive line should be a little bit better. There's some protection there. I know that they spent that top pick on Will Campbell, but ultimately, I just do not see enough playmakers, significant ones, at least in their prime, that can elevate this team beyond just your run-of-the-mill average. And that's why I think that you should temper expectations, but also expect improvement. Find that nice middle ground.
I like the last little nugget you put in there. I forget the words that you said before, but in their prime was the thing that you made kind of as a nugget there, because I think there is some promise with the youth in the team. Like there's some first year guys, second year guys, third year guys that are not bad and maybe could benefit from being in a real offense with someone who knows what to do with Drake May and, you know, an actual functioning offensive line. They ranked 32nd quarterback pressure percentage last year, 29th in sack percentage. They were terrible. 30th in points per game. I mean, they were near bottom in almost everything offensively. Their rushing success rate was a little bit better, I think, in large part because of how good of a runner Drake May was. That is taking his rushing ability into account. My big X factor for them this year is Travion Henderson, outside of Drake May. Drake May is the obvious one, but I think that you're not going to see it this year. But I think that the potential peak of Travion Henderson could be like an Austin Eckler type of player. His speed is incredible. Josh McDaniels was talking about to the press the other day how Travion Henderson is the fastest running back he's ever coached. There's some pretty fast running backs on that list who had very productive careers in situations where they were the third or fourth options on really good offenses. Travion Henderson could end up being like maybe the second or even first option for this team at some point in the season, depending on how he performs and if he takes off. He took the opening kickback for a touchdown preseason game. Not going to get too head in my heels about it, but I'm really excited about him. If he can pop off and be like a fantasy, like RB1 potential guy, this team could potentially compete for a wild card spot. I am kind of with you though, Paul. Like I don't fully see them putting it together. I think that they'll benefit from playing some kind of bad teams on their schedule. They might get a couple like tough, tricky wins too against good teams. Ultimately, I have them going 10-7 and missing the playoffs in a tiebreaker. Sad face. I will be crushed when that happens because I'm going to be right. All my picks are going to be right.
Pretty in depth with the tiebreaker. I have them going 9-8, and I have them making the wild card round, winning the wild card round, and losing in the divisional.
Oh, okay. EJ, I like this. You're making me happy.
Yeah, no, I'm big on the Patriots this year, and this is because what I saw last year was me trying to be an asshole, being like, yeah, they don't look good. But Drake May honestly does look good. He needs more weapons. I don't know if Stephon Diggs will provide that, but I know Demario Douglas is going to take that next step. I know Kyle Williams will be an upgrade, and they just kind of have like Butte, Hollins, Kendrick Bourne. Like they have those options where they can still kind of go back on that. They definitely solidified their O-line with Will Campbell and Morgan Moses. I think Morgan Moses will end up being a huge addition to this team. You look at their running back room. I know Stevenson is listed as RB1. I don't know if he will be RB1. Travion Henderson, everyone's talking about. But I think Antonio Gibson will be a low-key X factor in this offense as well, kind of being that third horse that you don't really look for, but can be that guy when you need him. And you look at the free agency the Patriots had, and they made all the right moves in free agency. I think they have a decent defense that can make a wave, kind of like how the Redskins did last year, where no one really expected them to be a good defense. So I think it's a good enough team if they can get the right defensive coordinator, who obviously Vrabel is going to be a big integral part of that, being the head coach. he will be looking at this defense to be making the moves for this offense to get the wins. It's going to be reliant on this defense. And if this defense can do their part, they have a pretty easy schedule, especially to start the season. I see them winning some games at the beginning, falling apart in the middle, and then at the end winning those last 2 games to make that wild card and winning that with the momentum they have.
I'm very excited. Let's go. Paul, you're overruled. 2 out of 3. We're taking the Pats to above their projected win total. I still have us missing the playoffs. I just think the AFC is going to be really tough. I also think there's going to be some really bad teams this year too. I have 2 teams going winless this year. 0-17.
2 winless teams.
Yes.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. I'll just make my official record prediction. I've got 8-9. I can't quite justify this team getting to a winning record. There still be some growing pains, and I think that there'll be a couple games where, Drake May will still kind of, show flashes of being a young quarterback. I'm not buying in on Stephon Diggs. I already mentioned that. But I will say this. If you want me to pick out an X factor, I'm actually going to go with the head coach here. If this team is going to go a couple wins above what I think that they're capable of, or above what Vegas has at that 8.5 over-under prediction, I think it's Vrabel stealing some games from late with clock management. We've seen him be very good about this in the past, kind of using Bill Belichick's method of the whole, back when they had that rule in place that you could false start, then the clock would keep running, and you could shave off some extra time. I know that he did that in one of the Titans playoff games that they won. Maybe it was against New England even.
That was Tom Brady's last game in New England.
Yeah, he pulled that out of his bag, something Belichick's done as well. So he's very creative with that. I think it's a guy who really understands how to manage the clock and how to try to, squeeze the life out of a game. And I think that there are some situations where he might be able to prevent a young team or, an inexperienced team from giving a game away. So in that sense, if they are going to get to that wild card round and make the playoffs, I think he's going to have to steal a couple games as a head coach. Ultimately, because of that, here's what I would say for their ceiling. I would say that their ceiling is what Denver did last year, where
that's a good comp.
They get to the first round of the playoffs, but they're not really competitive. They're just kind of there. And you leave the end of the season being like, okay, stepping stone. Let's really see what they're about next year. I think that their floor is still kind of bad. I still think that like 5-6 wins could be their floor. I think Drake May will improve, but there's the possibility that he doesn't. And there's a possibility that there's not enough weapons here. But ultimately, like I typically do, I'll settle somewhere in the middle and take 8-9.
Okay. I think this was actually a really good kind of like honest Pats discourse from all of us, which I appreciate.
We can't lie to our listeners, Patrick.
I expect the same from the Giants.
Oh, that team's ceiling is just through the roof.
I'm expecting Super Bowl there.
Wait till the NFC East episode. We're almost there, EJ.
I do like the last thing you said there, Paul, talking about the coaching difference. Like the Pats have given up so many games in the last 2 years, not just Gerard Mayo last year, but Belichick's last year too, just from coaching mistakes, which was so uncharacteristic of the team for 20 plus years. So experiencing that back-to-back years was like, it's like, what's going on now? So I hope they can figure that out. I think they will. It seems like they've brought in a lot of high IQ guys and high character guys too. I'm excited, man. This just feels like a different team. This was our last AFC East team. So we've covered. No. We still have the Jets. Sorry, that's right. I flipped the pages. So we still have the New York Jets.
Forget about the Jets.
I'm sorry, man. My bad.
J-E-T.
No, wait, EJ, I got it. You're going to be hearing a lot of that this year. Maybe.
Hell yeah.
Maybe. EJ, I thought you liked the team on the other side of New York.
I love the Jets.
Really?
I love watching them lose.
Yeah, can you really hate the Jets? I mean, how can you hate a franchise that sucks every year?
I don't want to hate them. Well, I don't know. I really enjoy watching them suffer.
They love beating you, so you love watching them lose.
Yeah, it's like the one team that's like totally irrelevant in New York outside of the Nets, basically. Sorry.
Throwing shade.
6.5 is their over/under this year. They went 5-12 last year. They fired Robert Saleh, moved on from their entire coaching staff. Aaron Glenn is in, former Lions DC. They brought in Lions passing game coordinator Tanner Engstrand as offensive coordinator, and they also hired former 49ers defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes as their defensive coordinator. They were pretty mediocre in their offensive and defensive point per game stats. 25th in offensive points per game, 20th in defensive points per game, kind of around that ballpark, and EPA per play metrics as well. There's some things that suggest that, maybe they could be improving this year. Like their defense really had a drop in play last season. I think partially because of how early they fired Saleh. That really didn't help their situation at all. And we'll see what happens with Fields too. Like Rodgers wasn't really, let's be honest, he was trying to preserve his health at a certain point. Like how many times was he checking the ball down, just getting rid of the ball to whoever was closest by, not trying to get hurt, not trying to take any shots downfield, playing conservatively. It worked in some games. It led to a couple wins, but not that many. I do think that the Jets improved in some areas though. I like some of the moves they brought in. Fields, we've talked about previously, could be a big player for them. I mean, he's got to be the X factor for this team, right? Is there anybody else that's more obvious than that to you guys?
You can make an argument for Breece Hall. I think that this is a team that got away from the running game last year. Hall was elite 2 years ago. Still used in the passing game fairly frequently. Rodgers did a lot of the checkdowns, but I don't think this team ran the ball nearly as effectively. They should have a two-headed monster this year for the full year. Braylon Allen really came onto the scene, so you could maybe say that running back duo as a whole. I know Fields is going to do a lot of running himself, but nothing better to take the pressure off a quarterback than getting back to that run game.
EJ?
I mean, I'm not big on Breece Hall. I think they're going to run a committee there with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. I don't see Breece Hall having kind of that ceiling with this type of offense they have. If Fields can get the ball to Wilson, Reynolds, and Lazard, who can stay healthy, then I think this offense has a chance. Obviously, I put Fields as my fantasy sleeper for quarterback, so I think this offense has the chance to be at least dynamic in a fantasy game. But I think that's going to rely on Fields' legs more than not. I think it's going to rely on read option and just quick routes.
Yeah, probably a lot of Garrett Wilson fade routes inside the 15. I am willing to say that the Jets do have a ceiling of being a wild card-ish team, maybe a wild card team. Like there could be some variance in different parts of the AFC where maybe they make things work. They've got a couple young offensive tackles who've got some good talent potential. We've seen their defense be really good in the last couple of years. Maybe Aaron Glenn could bring some of that toughness back. Like he comes from that Dan Campbell tree. That tree is going to start. We're going to see how it looks with him and Ben Johnson taking over teams. I'm excited to see how that goes. But they do have a pretty low floor. That's at their win total, if not lower. EJ, did you make an official record prediction for them?
I have the Jets going 6-11. And the only reason because I have them going so low is because I don't see Fields playing the whole season. And what I sent you guys today, Tyrod Taylor being out for the season means Brady Cook is probably gonna be their QB2. And I just don't see good things coming from that. So I know the Jets always have a good defense. They can keep their opponent from scoring, but I'm just not sure how much they're going to be able to score. And you look at their first 3 weeks, I mean, you got Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay. Those can be, you can quickly go 0-3, and that season can go in a spiral, and everyone's questioning and all that good stuff. They have Miami at Miami, which should be a good game. But I mean, Miami at that point might be looking for a win as well. So that might be the definition of what their season's going to be. I mean, if they go 0-4, then you're looking at a top 5 pick. You're looking at another top 5 pick from the AFC East. And I know I already took the Dolphins to go there. I see the Jets winning one more game just because the end of their season's pretty easy. But I have the Jets going 6-11. I have the Dolphins, as we said, going 5-12.
I do like we were kind of talking about their offensive identity and what that could look like. And like part of their ceiling has to acknowledge how Fields played last year with Pittsburgh, where they were kind of playing this like weird like 1970s-esque football where it's like ground and pound and like just beat you up. It's like bar fight games, whatever. But yeah, to a certain extent. They changed it up a little bit when Russ came in, but that's like their best way to win games this year, the Jets. And maybe Fields is the guy to lead that in a way. I don't know. Maybe he could be like a poor man's Lamar to a certain extent. I have them as a frisky 7-10 with potential for a couple more or less wins depending on how Fields looks. I don't think they're a likely playoff team, but I think there's going to be some things to build on there. Like I don't think this year is going to be an utter failure where they are a team that is laughed at as often as they were last year. I feel like there will be some signs of improvement. I think that Glenn will change the culture a little bit. And I think the year after that is where you see some more things kind of potentially build. Potentially. Paul?
I think we'll continue to laugh at this franchise that we've been laughing at for the better part of the last decade, really ever since Mark Sanchez miraculously found a way to get them to back-to-back AFC championship
Sexy
games.
Rex Ryan, man. It was that defense.
Ultimately butt fumbled. I don't buy it. I'm not as high on Justin Fields as EJ. It's interesting. EJ and I have kind of taken different routes to get to the same result. I also have 6-11 as my official record prediction here. But I'll put their floor as the worst team in football, and I'll put their ceiling as maybe 8 wins. I think that they'll find a way to scrap a couple across. I think that they'll split with Miami. Maybe get one against New England too at home. Who knows there? But I look at this team, I look at the roster, and they went 5-12 last year with Aaron Rodgers. I don't necessarily think that they're going to get better quarterback play with Justin Fields this year than what Aaron Rodgers gave last year. I know you get an element with the legs that Rodgers didn't bring, but I don't think that the passing game will be as efficient with Fields as it was with Rodgers. You don't have as many weapons. Devontae Adams is gone. You lost a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball. I'm just reading a couple of them off right here from NFL.com. C.J. Mosley, Javon Kinlaw, DJ Reed. Hassan Reddick barely played last year anyway. So, I think that you lose pieces on both the offensive side and defensive side. And I don't necessarily know that bringing in a defensive head coach is going to change the culture here. I think a lot of people were saying the same thing about Robert Saleh. The only reason I'm giving this team an extra win compared to last year is I think that there will be less drama. You had the Aaron Rodgers drama hanging over the head. I'm sure that it weighed on some of the players and, just kind of what Rodgers did, kind of forcing some guys out there within the coaching staff. I don't think that you're going to have that. So I think that there might be a little bit more of a loose, free and easy approach to getting 5 or 6 wins. But ultimately, I can't see this team figuring it out. And if you think about this too, Justin Fields, here are his quarterback records. Let me find it. Apologies. His record by year since coming in the league: 2021, 2-8, 2022, 3-12, 2023, 5-8, and then he was 4-2 in Pittsburgh last year, but then he ultimately got benched. Do we really think he goes to New York and really just the light switch flips on and all of a sudden this guy starts winning games? I certainly don't. That's why I have this team at 6-11.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting too, he probably had, like outside of his college experience, the best coaching environment he's experienced in football last year with Tomlin. Say what you want about Tomlin and how the team's done last year, but
he did win the most games last year, but I would say like that the one retort to that was like, I think that they did kind of neuter him. Like he didn't throw over the field as much. I don't think that they opened up the playbook a lot for him. So
they had him on training wheels.
Yeah, definitely had him on training wheels.
They put him to the playbook that he could operate.
I guess that's a way of putting it.
Yeah.
They had him execute a playbook where I feel like, yeah, he could operate, but also aimed at him not giving the game away and making mistakes. That was the goal. And I think that you should have just used those first 6 weeks to just see what the kid could do. But maybe the Jets will open that up, and who knows, maybe it'll unlock something. Maybe he'll have the 1,000-yard rushing season he had a couple years ago and add a really elite passing game. But I just don't see it. The guy's 26 now. He's not he's not young per se in NFL terms. This kid isn't a rookie. Like, he's not a kid anymore in NFL terms.
Okay. So before we part, we all have the Bills winning the division, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I should have said by more than 3 games. I think I said 3 games at the top of the episode. I have them winning the division by like 6. 5, I think.
You guys give both your standings 1 through 4. I'll do mine too. I know we've already said it for all the teams, but just like condense it.
Bills, Pats, Finns, and Jets.
Bills, Pats, Jets, and Finns.
All right, and I've got Bills, Pats, Dolphins, Jets. Okay, there we go. I like it. That is it for the AFC East. Gentlemen, is there anything else you want to say about either of these 4 teams?
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
I don't know. Should be another cakewalk for Buffalo. Let's be real.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay. I kind of agree with EJ saying like the Pats might come on hot a little bit. Pause. At the end of the year and get close to a playoff spot, or maybe get one. We'll see what happens there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this edition of the Fifth and Long podcast. Stay tuned. We're going to have the NFC East coming up next.
God bless you, Fifth and Long listeners.